Welcome, everybody. My name is Mike DiMuccio. I'm not Ben Woodward. He is in the preparations of his big move back to the U.S. from the U.K., so he asked me to fill in this morning. And I'm glad there's some of you who were on the Italy trip, because I'm going to call on you if you don't mind. It's not a repeat of last week's call, although if you have not watched last week's call, I encourage you not only to watch it, but to send it out to your organization, insisting they watch it too. There's something to be said about the magic and the power of what took place in Italy. And we who were on that trip are doing our best to convey the impact that it's had and is having on us as we move forward in our agenda to really put NICAN on the map in a big way in North America. Just going to ask that you mute out as you're joining the call so we don't have that much interference. This is an open call, however, so there's going to be some feedback I'm going to ask of you. But I want to just start with a little bit of a review. From my personal perspective, you heard it last week, how I felt this was a real significant moment in the history of NICAN. I've been in NICAN 27 and a half years, and I've been in NICAN when it didn't matter what you did, you just couldn't seem to make it work. And then I've been in NICAN where it didn't matter what you did, you couldn't do anything wrong. So there seems to be this tide that comes and goes in nature, in business, in life. And we seem to be right now, my sense about this, and I'm sure many of you will concur, you're starting to experience little nuances of this where things seem to be falling in your lap, falling in your way, as if things are now coming to us rather than away from us. We're not having to chase it as much as it's now starting to make its appearance known to us. And that, in my opinion, has everything to do with that ebb and tide, the idea that the world is waiting for this. It doesn't know it is, but the transition that we're hearing and feeling, picking up on, is a transition away from doom and gloom to hope and regeneration and renewal. And for those of us who were in Italy, it was just like it was the exclamation mark on this in such a very, very big way. I find myself repeating myself in a lot of these calls over the last week because we're trying to express, or I'm trying to find the words to express, just what was so significant about this trip. Now, if you look at the pictures on Facebook, you're getting a sense of it already. There's one picture I have to show you because it is now my favorite picture of our CEO. It'll take me a second to find it. But everything about this trip was monumental on an emotional level. And as you know, I'm a big, strong advocate of the law of attraction. And the law of attraction has often been spoken about in terms of the mind, what you think about, what you think about, what you think about. But that's not actually how it works. It operates on feeling, on vibration. And so it's what you feel about, what you feel about, what you feel about. And the question is, what are you feeling? And if you're thinking something, those thoughts generally bring up a feeling. So if you measure feeling and overall feeling as your weather vane as to where things are and how things are progressing, this trip for me was a very feeling trip, unlike anything before, where it wasn't just me in my own little world feeling it. It was like we were feeling it in one giant way. And just to sort of put the exclamation on that point, this is our CEO. This is my new favorite picture of our CEO. Is that not something? When have you see him smile from ear to ear like that? And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a feeling that permeated everyone all at the same time. And we were so captivated by this that we're trying now to turn that feeling into action. And so the real challenge for us as leaders in the field is to convey this enthusiasm and turn it into more than just an emotion, but into actual action. And usually we are governed by our emotions in terms of our actions. So I wanted to ask some of the people who were in Italy on this call if they wouldn't mind sharing what, if anything, are they doing different as a consequence of this switch that went on. And then I'll see if I can put it all together in terms of a strategy for all of us that you can adopt and be part of and swept up in this emotion and in this wave of action that I think can be, we'll be able to look back on in a year or two from now and say, this is when it all started. This is when things started to really happen. We sort of hit the bend in the knee, and all of a sudden things started moving really, really quickly. And I really feel very strongly that that's where we're at in this moment in Niken's history. So for those of you, I can see Sherry Ruth's on the line. Who else is here on the at the event? So if you were in Italy, please just unmute yourself. And I want to ask you just that simple question. What's different for you in your business because of this trip? How is this translating into action, into every aspect of your business? If you can put it into words for all of us. So if we're taking notes, we're saying, oh, this is how we can now apply ourselves, which may be a small difference or a big difference from before. So Sherry, I see you've unmuted. Do you want to jump in?
Sure. You know, for me, it is, I in a sentence, I want to be better. You know, I was around the top people. I took in all this great energy. I absolutely felt that energy you're talking about. I believe this is the turning point. And so I made a decision. I've been, you know, I love being on the Alliance to Royal call yesterday with you, and I feel more focused, and I want to be better. And the way I'm translating that for me is I made a decision. I'm waking up in the morning earlier than I ever thought possible to get my self-care in, to work out, to, you know, make time for what's important, to write, to learn, to do my meditation. And that is what sets me up to be more on for every appointment, for every phone call. And I'm also, the other thing is that I have raised the bar of how I'm spending my time with my team. I'm asking them to be better, to do more, to be more engaged, to get my time. That's very different for me.
So you're seeing, well, I love that statement. I want to be better. I want to do better. I feel that myself as well. I feel like, I don't think I ever saw myself as being on the sidelines, but maybe 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And that's me talking. And you guys know pretty much how I've been over the last few years. So if I feel like I've had sort of 1 foot on the sideline and 1 foot in the game, you can imagine what it's like if I get both feet in the game. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Same thing. I'm feeling like no more excuses, Mike. Can't keep your foot on the sideline however you want to justify it. You got to be all in. And I sense that about all of us who were there, that there's this urgency is the word I think I'm looking for. This urgency to step it up.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Ruth, you were there.
Yeah, so for me, it was a turning point for sure. But what made it turn around for me was the community we had. Just being there with everybody and, you know, just hanging out and being at the pool and just really being open and transparent really was a turning point for me, because I realized that I had people that I can count on that are not there to judge me, that are there to support me. And not that I didn't have that before, but I didn't feel that kind of love until we came back from Italy. And, you know, just the call that we had yesterday for the Alliance to Royal, having you giving us the assignment. I mean, I was definitely operating from fear. And after talking to Sherry, who's my swimming buddy, she's like, you know, just give it a shot. And I realized I need to come from abundance, not from fear. So that was huge for me. So personal growth. I mean, Robert has spent hours this past 2 weekends looking at building our own website, which we've never done before. And so both of us have really shifted. And this trip was pivotal in that. And so we will look back in a year or two and realize that that was the time that it turned for us, that we flipped that switch. So yeah, I can't believe it, because we've been on other trips before, but this trip was very, very special. So, and I feel the relationship that we have with everybody that was on the trip. So that I could spend an hour on the phone with Barb last night because we had that relationship. So I think that the community has been really, really strong for me. And that was the biggest thing I took out of that Italy trip.
Fantastic. Awesome. A strong sense of community. And that's not just between the North Americans. We, you know, I think the way this event opened up with the three tenors singing at our, serenading all of us at our dinner in Rome, the whole of us, the whole group of us were 75, 80 people. And then the last night, the difference between being serenaded, sung to, and the last night, which was also dinner in Rome at a restaurant, where we also had musicians playing traditional songs, but songs that some of us remembered or knew. And it wasn't us being sung to, it was us singing and dancing along with them. I mean, the whole group came alive. So it was interesting to see from the beginning to the end, the transition from being part of something, again, sort of on the sidelines of it, being entertained, to we were the entertainment. We were the life of the party by the end of it. And that was the entire group of North Americans and Latinos. It was really interesting also to see the blend, how the North Americans are always much more reserved than the Latinos. I mean, it's just clear how they present themselves, or how they sit in their seats and so forth. But we saw the blending starting to happen, and the joy. The only thing that I keep thinking about is the joy on everybody's face that we shared this time together, and we want more of that, and we want you to experience that. This is kind of where this urgency is coming from. It's like when you have such a great thing happen, you want to share it with the world. You want others to be included in it. And this is how we're feeling. Most of us came back saying, we've got to get more people to this next event in New York. I don't know, some of you started on the call a little bit late, but I was playing New York, New York, Frank Sinatra, to get the mood of this right. Because, yeah, we all need to be there. Barb, you were there, Barb Satterwhite?
Yes, I sure was. And there's so many things going through my head, but first and foremost, it was a phenomenal community of support and love. And what I took away, so many things, but Luis had mentioned when he spoke with us about, the first thing is our humans being more for us, not about helping other people, but getting our balance. And, I've been thinking about that the last couple of weeks and putting some balance into my life. And the interesting thing about that is that you will attract more people that way. So living what we talk about, and like somebody said, focusing on parameters, and for change for me is I'm not going to spend the time with the people that aren't really on board, because there's people out there that want to be on board, and we just need to attract them. One of my mantras used to be peaceful intensity. So I want to be at peace with everything, but certainly be working. I have a book called The Power of Intention, and I love it. And one of the chapters is about attracting people. And one of the things is you want to go back to, I want to feel good, and say that. I want to feel good. So anything I do, I need to feel good about it. But also, instead of hoping and wishing and praying for people that you attract, we just have to remind ourselves that we can attract them. And I think Ben said it nicely when he summarized on the call. We know everything. We don't need to know more. We just need to be more and attract that sort of a person. I think a new focus too for me will be the new people. And let me give you just an example. I just spent the last 9 days. I got home from Italy, had one day, and headed down to our cottage because this was the 28th year of our Memorial Day picnic that Don and I had started, and did memory things, and it was a bittersweet time. But the whole week went by, and yesterday before I came home, I had two major encounters with two people that are interested, and on the way home got a phone call from somebody totally out of the blue. So in that one day there were 3 people, and it was because my whole week was set on me being balanced and doing what I need to do. So I just throw that out there because I think we work too hard sometimes.
Amen to that.
Anyway, that's my perspective, and I loved everything, obviously.
Barb, thank you so much. Your point speaks to the point that I try to address all the time, and that is, yeah, we work too hard because we're applying our head and not our heart. If we're in our natural state, which is a state of joy and love and peace, then we're highly attractive, especially in a world, in an environment that's chaotic. People are attracted to people who seem to have calm and peace in their life in the midst of all this chaos. So if you have a connection, a strong, connection to a community, which has been reinforced a few times, of transparent and loving and caring people. And you know you're part of that community, not on the sidelines, but in the middle of it. Volunteer yourself to be an active member of this community. And then with that, you can face the world knowing you've got that support. You're not, I like one of my mentors to say, you're the leading edge of the wedge. You're not alone. Behind you is this huge army of people who think and feel and want the same things out of life, and know where you're coming from, and support that where you're coming from is honest, it's good intention, and it's got great value to offer the world. So you're not sitting there wondering if what I'm doing or what you're doing is of any value or is of any use. It's not a position of futility, it's a position of strength. And when you come from strength, people are attracted to strength. That's one of the things that I think has come out of this event in Italy, was the sense of community that's so strong that we're now walking around with that in our heart. And it changes the way you feel, it changes the way you think, and how you see people being more. If you guys don't mind, I want to share a little bit of what I shared with the call yesterday. One of the things that was changed, or is being considered to change the name of Platinum Alliance to Alliance to Royal. Alliance to Royal. So now why make a name change? What's the significance of a name? Well, it's really simple. It's how do you identify yourself? And if you identify yourself as a platinum, or as a silver, or as an executive, or as only an executive, or whatever words you use to describe yourself, you're creating an identity, and you're giving that identity life. And then it starts to become who you are. And then that, of course, according to the law, will be reflected in your reality. So the circumstances, the people, the situations will keep you there, because that's where you are identifying yourself with. And the law, everything that the law teaches, is what makes it possible for us to step into new territory, to create and be somewhere where we haven't been, is imagination. It's the only thing that separates us from the animal kingdom, is that we as humans have the ability to imagine a unique situation that's not even actually been experienced. Like, imagine a pink elephant appears on the screen of your computer or your phone right now. You can actually imagine something like that, and yet an animal can't do that. So with imagination, we can put ourselves in a situation. So rather than identifying with where you are, why not identify with where you want to be, the life you want to live? How it feels then becomes the next challenge. Can you put yourself in a situation so vivid in your mind that you can actually feel the feeling of what it's like to be that person? And now you're starting to emanate into the world around you a vibration that has consequences, just like what Barb experienced. She's experiencing the consequences of the vibration she's been on, because it's a natural process. It's called the law of attraction. We attract what we are in harmony with. And if we're in harmony with what we identify with as where we're at currently, we're just going to have more of the same. We need to be in harmony with by identifying with where we want to be in life, how we want to live, and start to get in touch with that image, that picture, that feeling. Of course, association is the easiest way to really allow yourself to get that. So when we went to Italy together and started to associate, it was interesting because it was like border blind, language blind, rank blind. All of a sudden, it's just, we're Nikan. Our hat, be Nikan. And that changed a lot of the dynamics in terms of the relationships. Now you could sit at a table with anybody. It didn't matter who they were in terms of, ooh, they're so-and-so. They were just one of the people who were on that trip there with you. And we shared coffee, we shared meals, we shared laughs, we shared all kinds of things, incredible views. And we shared awes. I remember stepping into the church. I said this on a call last night. One of the most magnificent churches. Magnificent. I posted a picture yesterday of myself, Ben, and Luis Kasuga just sitting having a coffee right after we visited this cathedral. And from the outside, it didn't look like much, but the second you stepped in, I looked up and went, wow. And then I heard a person step behind me, wow. And then a person stepped behind them, wow. And it was like everybody was saying the same thing. It was that kind of an experience. It was a wow experience. Well, when you're with a group of your colleagues and you're all having this feeling of awe, you're in the same boat. It sort of really creates an equal playing field where all of a sudden you're all experiencing like children something for the first time. And that is what I think is the essence of what we're trying to convey here. For most people in the world, Nikken is an unknown, a complete unknown. And while they may have a prejudice toward what they think it is, you know better. And our job as people, as humans and advocates of Nikken, is to help them see past their prejudice and see into your hearts and see into the sparkle in your eye and see into the image that you have and you carry for yourself and for others so that they can see potentially themselves in that situation. And the more connection you have with other people of like mind and of like spirit, the better it is. So we want to forge in this go forward position an audience, a group, we want to come to these calls with the high octane. We want to know and recognize and acknowledge who we are because we are very special and unique in the world. At this time, we offer a tremendous hope and light and integrity and backed by solid, not backed by, smoke and mirrors. It's really solid. Here's what I shared with the group in terms of actions that you can take immediately and begin to align yourself with this whole vibe. Because it's really what we're going to be doing. It's what I'm going to be focusing my energy and efforts on. It's like you heard, we don't have time to drag people. We want to run with people who want to run with us. And so now it's not about walking. It's not about crawling. It's about running. So you've been doing the crawling. You've been doing the walking, sometimes backwards. It's now time to step it up and get into a jog and maybe into a real stride. That's really what we're talking about. And we have the rest of this year for each of us, not some of us, each of us to make and set the goal and achieve the Team Kaizen. There is not a reason in the world you shouldn't be Team Kaizen. Not a single reason in the world this can't happen for you because it can. And it doesn't matter what's happened in the past or how it's been like dragging yourself in the mud. That was then. It was like the ebb and tide has changed. And I just want you to recognize that this is us talking and telling you it feels that way for us. It can be that way for you if you just say, okay, time to turn the page. The past doesn't equal the future. So here's how you can help yourself stay on that page. This is the page we're on, guys. Gratitude statements. How many of you even know what a gratitude statement is? Most of you probably do. It's when you make a statement as a fact of something in the affirmative, in the present, of what you're grateful for. Put a lot of emotion and energy into it. Now, I'm pretty sure you can come up with a list of 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you are currently really grateful for, genuinely, authentically grateful for. Start with those because I want you to know the feeling of what it feels like to feel gratitude. So to write down things that you're actually grateful for and that you can connect on an emotional level to that feeling of gratitude is what we're after. Because when you move into that space, it doesn't matter what you're grateful about. It's the fact that you're actually grateful. It's the vibration of gratitude that makes you highly attractive. Now then you can add to that list. And I suggest you move it up to 10 as soon as possible. Add some of the things that you're grateful for that you've not yet experienced, but you're grateful for the experience of them just the same. In other words, express them in sentences as if they were true. For instance, how grateful you are for the people you've attracted that are qualifying for Team Kaizen in 2019. Like, make those statements about things about that would serve you and serve the purpose of your goals and your expectations and the quality of life that you want to have, the experience that you want to have. Write them in the affirmative as if they've already happened and be grateful for them. Make a statement of gratitude for these things in your life, like your health. How about being grateful for that? How about be grateful for the day? What if you started your day with that as a statement? I'm so grateful for my health and the people in my life. Just think about how your day goes from that point when this is how you're starting your day. And these are small things, but these small things are the difference. These are the big things, the little guys that add up over time into huge differences. This is one of the things that you can do. So get a book, blank sheets, write 5 or 10 per day, every day, and don't make it always exactly the same. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to connect on an emotional level with something, not on a mental level. On an emotional level, you may find yourself repeating yourself. Yeah, it may not be the exact same words. Perfect. That's number one. Number two, what if you made a commitment to contact one new person per day? One new person per day. That's your commitment. And to hold you and yourself accountable to both of these things, you send your gratitude statements, take a screen capture of it, and send it off by text to one of your partners. Buddy up with somebody, pick somebody on this call, buddy up with somebody and say, I want you to just read my gratitude statements every day. That's what I do with the people I'm working with personally. Then you've got one level of accountability. The other one is you text them the person you contacted today, tell them how it went. Could be just 1 or 2 sentences. Doesn't have to be a whole story. 1 or 2 quick sentences. This is who I called. This is how it went. Following up in 2 days or whatever. Then that person, their job is to do one thing, say, can you do that again tomorrow? That's it. They're just going to ask you one question. Can you do that again tomorrow? And you're going to write back, yes, I can. Yes, I will. Whatever it is that you want to say. Now you've done 2 things that are already moving you in the direction of what you want and how you want to live. And lastly, I'm going to ask one thing. Most of you know this incentive brochure exists. It's at Life in Balance Tools. Get a physical copy if you don't. Order them and make sure you have them to hand out to people, because there's an incentive program here that's second to none, that culminates with an experience like the one we just had in Italy, and you are more than deserving of this. My friends, you guys represent the leading edge of this incredible story called Nikken. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. It matters what you think about it. It matters what you feel about it. And there's enough people out there who will resonate with this message that you don't have to worry about, not one iota. It's an incredible thing, the universe. It's an incredible thing, the power behind this universe that knows your every thoughts, knows every hair on your head, and knows exactly who to put in your path. But you got to be the one who's open. You got to open the door to that possibility. Otherwise, it can't happen. So what if you made a point of going for that incentive, going for it, not just, really going for it, where you make the decision once. This is the beautiful thing about a decision. You only have to do it one time. You make the decision once. It's a choice. Team Kaizen this year. Now, you could say to yourself, I haven't got a clue how that's even remotely possible. Well, that's okay. The universal mind of God knows how it's possible, so you don't have to worry about it. Let him worry about it. You just have to be the receiver. You just have to be the conduit through which this miracle can happen through you. That's it. It's that simple, folks. And the only thing that prevents you from experiencing this every minute of every day is the doubt that you hold for whatever idea you have about yourself, whatever false belief you hold in terms of what you've identified with. I suggest you identify with a better version of you. The version of you that operates from faith, not from foolish fear. The version of you that operates from the knowing that you are a created being and you have an amazing creator that wants nothing but the best for you. How about that? That seems to be a great way to wake up in the morning. How about being grateful for that? I'm so grateful that I'm a creative being and I was created by the most amazing of beings of all, right? So be grateful for this power that you are able to experience in the breath you take. Every breath you take means something, matters, and you can put it to use. So let's review real quick. I want to be better. Decisions. Make real decisions. Make a real decision one time that this is done. Wake up earlier. Make your gratitude statements 5 or 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier. If you did that, you're setting up the entire tone of your day. Raise the bar. Raise the expectations of who gets your time. If they want to drag you down, you just check with them. Are you serious about that? Do you really want to drag me down? Do you really want to go there? Or do you want to, lift yourself up? I just need to know, because I need to know if it's worth investing my time. You can say that in so many ways in a conversation, right? And identify whether or not the person that you're spending this time with is somebody who's really struggling and wants hope, and they're just testing you, or they really are just not somebody who wants to move forward. They're just too far down the bunny hole. Turning point, be part of the community. Make a point of staying plugged in. If the energy and the conversation is not high, step out. Oh, that's an echo. If the energy is not high, back out of that conversation. Stay high, stay up. We don't need down, we need up. We have enough down, we don't need more of it. So be transparent, be supportive, stay plugged into the community of people who are that for you. Humans being more for us, we need to be the example in our lives for ourselves before we can be for anybody else. That's what makes us attractive. Wow. Power of Intention. Who's the author of that book? I know this book.
Wayne Dyer.
Yes, thank you. Wayne Dyer, who also, by the way, was a huge fan. His last homage, I guess, was to this book called The Power of Awareness. He absolutely loved Neville, discovered Neville, and made a big fuss over it. So if you want a book to read, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard is one of my favorite all-time books, and I just carry it with me all the time. So there you have it, guys. This is kind of an action plan. These are 3 simple things we can do every single day. Gratitude statements. Contact 1 new person a day. And as far as the incentive goes, make the decision one time, ask people to join you. That's it. So with that, I want to thank the people who joined us and shared their experience of Italy and how it's made a difference in their business. I want to thank you all for joining us today and taking your valuable 30, 35 minutes on this call. And for those of you who are watching the playback, we're here. We're here to share with you. We're here to convene with you. We're here to be that accountability partner if that's what you're after. Because I love getting those text messages, and I do receive them, and I do read them. So if you've got some things that you want to share, pick a buddy, be accountable to that person, make those things happen, and watch how this changes. We're going to be playing this back over and over again. We're going to check in on you, and we're going to check on these points over the course of the next few months, because it's important we all get on this page. We all need to get on this page, and we can support each other to do that. Did you want to say something, Ruth, before we hang out?
Yeah. So after your call with us at the Lines to Royal, I decided I want to do this gratitude journal, and I went to TJ Maxx, and I found this book, and it had a diamond on it, but I just added Royal to it.
Nice.
So it's just for me to write my gratitude journal and then text off to my buddy, Sherry Danzig. And so it makes me happy, and therefore it brings up my vibration. So just go do what it takes to get it done.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining. Onwards.
Thanks, Mike.